That's what I learned. Do you have anything more more uplifting that could provide some guidance in some sort?
Yeah, I took a fascinating training. I took advantage of the fact that my husband and two of my children were gone visiting grandma and away, having their own adventures. And I took a 18-hour training last weekend on new techniques in EMDR, new theories in EMDR.
Cool.
So yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be quite transformative. And now everybody's got a certification program, right? So now I have to decide if I really want to pursue this new level of EMDR in terms of a certification. It's very expensive. That's one thing I've also noticed is that you have to pay money to, I mean, maybe all professions are like this, but you have to pay money to become more educated, but then also get certified. And it's like, you have to pay more money to maintain your certification. So I'm really trying to decide where, what the juice, is the juice worth the squeeze?
The ROI.
The ROI. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good way to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, before you go off on a tangent there, could you make your mic a little louder?
Make my mic louder?
Yeah.
So we got to do these sound check things before we start. I don't know how to make it louder.
There should be a knob. Whenever you're talking, there's something, probably a light blinking around a knob.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Just would help if it was a little louder.
Okay, I'm going to turn it up and then you tell me.
Yeah.
Okay, try that.
That's better.
Okay. Yeah, so the certification, of course, is with somebody abroad. And the meeting time is 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can be a functioning person at 6 a.m. My time zone.
Yep. Yeah, that sounds rough. I would just have to stay up, I guess.
No,
I don't have to stay up a couple of more hours.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about that.
So is virtual? How many people were in the class, or what would you call it?
Oh gosh. Okay. So I don't know how many virtual people there were. There wasn't any real interaction between those who were at home watching the training. And, so I could submit questions and then the questions would be ferried to the trainers. But there were also training in person too in New Jersey.
Oh,
so in that hybrid classroom, it looked like at least 50 people.
Money, money, money.
But you know what, though? I give it to them because they are clinical psychologists who are actively researching everything they're training. So it's not like they just had some, thought process and then were like, oh, I'm going to do a training about my thoughts. No, I mean, they actually have empirical evidence supporting and backing up everything that they're training us on. So that I can understand. They probably have to pay back their student loans.
Right. Yeah. What was the most thought-provoking part of the training?
Okay, so for me, it was the idea that if EMDR were discovered today, so EMDR was really discovered by Francine Shapiro in the late 80s, and she named it eye movement desensitization reprocessing because she noticed her eyes moving and darting left to right, or back and forth, I should say, as she was contemplating or thinking about some very distressing element of whatever was happening to her at that point in her life. And after walking as well as moving her eyes, she felt less distress. And so that was very curious to her. So then that set her on a path for the remainder of her life to do a lot of research on why is it that eye movements desensitize memories. So what these trainers were saying was that if EMDR were discovered today, it wouldn't be called eye movement desensitization reprocessing. It'd be more called something like working memory therapy, because it's not it's not that it's been disproven, but the eye movements themselves, there's been this whole rationale and thought process that they replicate REM sleep. And that's what desensitizes memories. And then it actually moves, there's some sort of bihemispheric action that moves the data from the amygdala to the hippocampus. And while that data is moving from the hippocampus, from the amygdala to the hippocampus, it hasn't been proven or disproven that it's really eye movements that are making that movement happen. But what it really is that the working memory is severely taxed. And that's what desensitizes the memory, because you have to hold the distressing element in your mind's eye while doing a task. So for some people, it can just be eye movements, but it can also be like tapping, saying numbers out loud, counting backwards, spelling words, even movement. Some like the V step, for example, is one of them. And that's what actually desensitizes the memory, is the competition between holding a distressing element in your mind while doing the task.
So when you're using the term working memory, is that the same as the working memory, the short-term memory, long-term memory?
Yes. So short-term memory is no longer called short-term memory anymore. It's called working memory. Yeah, but it's the same thing.
So now I thought I remembered working memory. That was like a psych class. Working memory, short term, and then long term. What is it now? So it's just working memory and then long term memory?
And then long term, working and long term.
Gotcha. So
still in your prefrontal cortex.
So the emotional memory has been stored in the long term if there's trauma. It's
been stored maladaptively in the amygdala. So that's another feature of the protocol, is that we have to access and activate the distressing elements. The researchers are Dutch, and there were some real cultural differences, I should say, because they are very, they're clinical as well. So, but they are very, maybe, I don't know anything about Dutch culture, but they're very casual about like using sexual terms. So, if we were just to talk about like sexual abuse as the traumatic event, they were very freewheeling in using sexual terms to describe, for example, a hypothesis or for example of like a memory someone could access and activate. But so anywho, they were giving these instructions on how to access and activate. And it was so funny. It was like, none of this shit would fly in America. But talk about, getting bad Google reviews. But I guess there, in their country, that would be appropriate. But anywho,
what's an example of something that would have been appropriate in their country? Evan. I got to hear you say it.
Oh my God. I would have.
This is not you saying it. This is the Dutch. All right?
This is the Dutch researchers. So, okay. I will say that the Dutch researchers, they do an intensive. So they take people who are failing out of traditional therapy, trauma, whatever kind of trauma focused therapy they're doing, who are just not seeing results. And they take them and they put them in an intensive, and it's like a 3-day intensive maybe. And it's highly structured. Like they'll reprocess a memory in the morning, then there's some sort of group sports activity in the afternoon, and then they come back and reprocess a memory, and then they, go back to the dorm for the night. So it's like a week-long weekend or something. So they have a structure in place that I think we don't have as outpatient therapists here in the US. But so they had, of course, it's a slideshow presentation, and they have this slide, and up on the slide is a photograph of a table. And the female trainer, she's like, if you have or maybe it was the male, I can't remember. She's like, if you have a cabinet in your office, you can keep all of these props in your office to help access and activate memories. And they were like, okay, some, like a police vest, a plastic knife, a Nerf gun, maybe some other type of plastic gun, that you would find at Walmart for kids, with the little orange cap on the end to indicate that it's plastic. And then, of course, there were the sex toys.
The dildos?
And I was like, yes. And I was like, Jesus Christ almighty. Can you imagine? And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be keeping that in a cabinet in my office.
Wow. Yeah. That's the fidget spinner for them. Like a dildo. It's like, if you're ever feeling nervous, you can grab this.
Of course, it's like some novelty-sized dildo. It's like...
It's a huge black dildo.
I'm sure they had several. They were, very PC about it. They had a range of options.
Yeah.
But it was so funny. And I was just thinking to myself, I was like, I have never had in like the 20 years of, doing EMDR off and on. because in some portions of my career, just EMDR wasn't appropriate. But, since learning about EMDR in 2008, I've never had a problem accessing and activating anybody's trauma memory. I mean, it just sits right there like a ever present. So I was like, why? So I guess, I don't know, maybe.
That's pretty funny.
It was very funny.
Do you have the presentation?
Do what?
Do you have the presentation with that photo?
Yeah, of course I do.
You should send me it. We got to put it on the reel. Tag the Dutch.
Oh my God, no! I mean,
it's fine. I'll just cut out. I'll just cut out a big dildo and put it on my face when you say it. It's fine.
It's funny to talk about, but it's, there is a clinical application to what they're suggesting. I guess the goofy part for me is like just knowing, especially, doing psychotherapy in the South, I just don't see how I could authentically incorporate something like that in a clinical way. Yeah, I just felt there was like an incongruence when I saw that. I was like, that's not for me. But
sure. Yeah.
It was kind of funny.
Yeah, I can only imagine what Eli would say in this conversation. We'd be really derailed for the next 45 minutes.
We would totally be derailed. And then I was thinking, I was like, the sex educators in town, I'm sure they have, props or like to demonstrate or like, I don't know, maybe as part of their methodology. I know nothing about sex therapy, so I can't say. But I was like, you know what? I don't know. That just would seem more traumatizing in my mind.
So you've learned that the EMDR protocol would be called something working memory now?
It'd be like working memory theory or working memory therapy if it were discovered today. If it could be renamed, but EMDR is the brand now. It's like Xerox. You can't rename Xerox.
And that you also learned the Dutch culture is hypersexual. Or that's your assumption?
Not hypersexual. I don't think that's the right word. I think
more upfront about sexuality.
But I think clinically they're at a level where they can speak so freely about topics. Whereas I don't know if this is something that's happened over the past 20 years, or maybe just Americans are just squeamish. But even amongst clinicians in any other training I've ever been to where rape is discussed or sexual abuse is discussed, the words are never actually spoken out loud. It's always intimated. Mm-hmm. Or another terminology is used like sexual impropriety or something like that. And we just read between the lines, right? Because we're all intelligent people and we can read between the lines. They didn't even offer that opportunity to read between the lines. They just went straight for it. So if they're describing a client's story that's highly sexually graphic, they just went and described it in clinical terms. There's a clinical context in which they used very, slang even, but within a clinical context that I have not seen here in the US.
So they weren't as afraid of triggering others.
There was no concern for that. And that was actually kind of refreshing, honestly, because
I think that we can't get into this speech pattern where we're trying to not trigger anyone. Because it's my belief that if there's something that I'm saying, obviously if I'm being malicious or something, that's a different type of conversation. But I'm just talking about something and it's triggering you to such an extent to where you might have like a rage response. That's something that you need to work through in therapy. That's not the order's issue.
Correct. Exactly.
Like if I'm saying sexual assault, if I'm saying the term marginalized, right? Like I got barked at by this LGBTQ person in grad school because I did a presentation. The book was talking about marginalized populations. And so I reiterated that in the presentation. That person freaked out on me.
See, yeah, that person's
stuff like that, right? It's like, that's not me.
Their own touch points that they need to deal with. Right. And I think what was so refreshing about this training was that they didn't even dial into that noise.
Good.
And it's so like even in their
it's distracting.
Protocol,
You're having, like, if you're trying to learn something, you shouldn't have to decipher what you're trying to learn.
Exactly. I mean, please don't take this the wrong way. I mean, they were not insensitive by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, they expressed appropriate empathy with whatever story they were telling or whatever example they were using, but they used very slang terms.
Yeah.
Like, and not instead of referring to a dildo as a marital aid or some nonsense like that.
I never even heard that.
It's like they called it a dildo. And,
wait, you've been in something where they've referred to it as a marital aid?
Oh yeah, of course.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah. Or sex toy or something like that.
They're like, if you could look over, I don't even know a Dutch accent. Look to the left. Here is a huge dildo.
But they were very like, it's like we're all adults and we all know what we're talking about. So we're all experienced trauma focused therapists. So we're just going to use plain language. And I like that they use plain language to explain very difficult concepts.
That's how it should be, because that difficult concept's where a lot of your energy should be on.
Yes. And what was also fascinating is that they've so well researched this concept of working memory theory to desensitize memories that they were talking about how they don't spend much time doing prep work with these clients. These clients come into their 3-day, intensives, highly activated anyway. I mean, these people, from what I understand, a lot of them have such difficulty coping in the real world. They're already activated. They're already but nevertheless, I mean, they have their own strategies to help manage so that they can function. But there is a concept in EMDR called the safe place or the calm place. And it's like this whole like visual meditation that we, resource with the clients so to help them learn how to shift and regulate their own emotions. And so she was explaining that the researcher was explaining that they don't even do that there. Like they just dive right into the memories because the memories are so already activated for their clients. And that was a huge paradigm shift for so many of the people participating in this training, because, we're taught to sort of walk very gingerly down this line to access and activate memories. And before doing that, before clients get dysregulated in session, we should train them to learn how to regulate themselves. And don't get me wrong, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, clients should learn how to regulate themselves, and we as therapists should be teaching that. But it was very interesting to me that they don't spend much time doing that. And she explained that even in trauma-focused CBT, there's not much time spent learning how to regulate. I don't know very much about TF, at least as it's practiced in the Netherlands. So it was interesting. It was a really interesting opportunity to learn how people in another part of the world are practicing and researching EMDR. And they're seeing amazing results.
Yeah. Awesome.
So there's something to be said about their methodology.
I think the Dutch culturally are pretty intelligent.
Yes.
They value intelligence in academia a bit.
Very much so. Very much so. And I think their country invests in their students probably more than the United States does.
And they're smaller. I mean, we have a lot of enterprise, but I think that how big the U.S. is and how diverse it is a weakness in some points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so that was it. I was so proud of myself for using my time wisely and getting 18 CEUs and learning something new.
Was it expensive?
No, it was not terribly expensive. It was like $265 per day.
Nice.
And I got 18 hours out of it. So
there's a segue into something I was thinking about, and this isn't per se conversations regarding sexual trauma, but just conversations about sexuality and sex with clients. Mm-hmm. I think it's a pretty big litmus test for where the relationship is. If the client feels comfortable enough to talk about sex. Mm-hmm. I use that as like a tag or like a litmus test. It's like, is the client comfortable starting that process? Even if it's not like a huge part of why they're in therapy, but just culturally, it's this hush kind of topic. I mean, we don't often even talk to our partners about sex, and we're having sex with them. So it's like you have a therapist and you're talking about sex. Like, that's next level for a lot of the cultural. I mean, I'm predominantly treating white middle upper class people. So I was thinking about that a good bit recently. And it's kind of staggering where you kind of have relationships with clients and you have conversations about all sorts of wild stuff. But then however long the relationship's been, say it's, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, and then sex comes up, it's a rule-breaking conversation.
In therapy?
Yeah, for a client. It often seems like I'm breaking a rule by talking about this with my therapist.
Oh, yeah. And also
I shouldn't be,
cursing too. Sometimes clients are like, oh, am I allowed to curse? It's like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why with a client that curses, I'll often try to reflect with a cuss word just to nip that in the butt. Use their language.
Oh, yeah. Like, I don't have any rules about, I think it would be kind of ridiculous to have rules about what you can and can't talk about.
Yeah, don't cuss around me.
Yeah.
But yeah, if a client talks about sex, I'm like, yes, we're in. Something's working here.
Yeah. Okay. So that, like, obviously then there's a therapeutic rapport between the two of you that they have a certain level of comfort talking about that sensitive subject. Okay.
Yeah. And then some clients that could be just a in passing conversation, or it could be a big reason as to why they're in therapy. Like if a part of their like sexual identity has been hidden or shamed or whatever, that can begin to be a process of being a bigger part of the therapy dialogue.
Yeah.
But I don't use any dildo props or anything.
Oh my God.
I don't show up with one like stuck on my, the ones you can put on a shower, you can like stick them to the side of the wall. Just show up, it's stuck on your forehead.
Jesus. You think you'd have to figure out how they do that would be clinical. Yeah. So like, just to go backwards for our viewers and listeners, the dildo prop had a very specific clinical application.
And I'm just going to randomly bring it up now. So.
Yeah. To access and activate memories. Yeah. That I guess maybe sometimes are, and then there's a whole protocol about the memories that are shame evoking, as well as the ones that, we might even be phobic of. So that was some of the special techniques we learned. It was fascinating. It was a really it was worth the price of admission.
Well, I think we already got through the FY about a counseling subject topic.
Okay.
What is making you cranky about either your profession or personal life?
Oh God.
You wrote it. I didn't.
I don't know.
Where are you most cranky? Outside of just waking up in the morning.
Oh yeah, this is so stupid, but like my son in his bedroom, that really just rubs me the wrong way. It's like
dirty,
a complete another fire hazard. It's just so cluttered.
He's nesting.
It's like, tell me you don't give a fuck without telling me you don't give a fuck. And that
he's
just
a teenager, right?
Off. Say again?
He's a teenager, right?
No, he's 20.
Okay. Well, that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
At this point. We're not getting married and having 4 children at 20 right now.
No, thank God.
Yeah.
No.
I'd say like culturally nowadays, I can say for a man, it does seem like you're a teenager until like your mid-20s, which might be wild to hear, but it seems like that's common.
Yeah. I worry about him because he's very intelligent, and to some extent he's ambitious, but he has a very like linear way of thinking. He can't think broadly. And that drives me bananas.
Like zoom out.
Yeah, he can't zoom out. Like, for example, for like finding a job, like he wants to find a job that's not in fast food, which I totally understand, not in any sort of food service. And I was like, okay, well, look for a job in the industry in which you're interested. So he wants to get a business degree and then go to law school and study like business law. So I was like, well, get a job in business, like that sounds so retarded, but like broadly speaking, like what kind of business would you want? Like real estate, for example, or the hospitality industry. And then or even like healthcare. So I was like, why don't you get like a pharmaceutical certificate and work at, CVS as a pharmacy tech, because you need something to earn a living because just to pay for the basics. And then everything is like a stepping stone. So if you're a pharmacy tech, even though you don't want to go to pharmacy school, the fact that you're being trusted around people's medicines speaks highly for you. Right. And you have a knowledge that you can apply. It's like a skill set to be able to count the pills and interact with customers and answer basic questions and inventory and understand what medications are like their chemical names versus their trade names. And I was like, these are all building blocks. And he's like, okay, I'll think about that. Okay, I'll think about that.
Well, he doesn't know how to play the game.
Do what?
He doesn't know how to play the game yet.
He does not know how to play the game. And he gives lip service as though he's amenable to feedback, right? So he's not argumentative with me, but his behavior then tells me he's unamenable to feedback because he doesn't do anything.
So if he takes the more he acts amenable, then
right?
you'll stay off his back.
Go to the community college and sit for the 100-hour pharmacy class, which I said I'd pay for, or apply if he wants to do hospitality industry, apply to a high-end hotel, work the front desk. I mean, I have this person I know who has an entirely different career, but she started out as a pharmacy tech. And that basic knowledge on how to just function working with patients, even though she's not providing direct patient care, is just a building block to greater things. Now she knows how to work with all kinds of customers.
Well, I have a theory how he doesn't have a house, so we could say a room, like how our bedroom as an adolescent or early adult looks like is representative of our internal schemas.
See, I completely agree with you. And so when I look at his bedroom and it's a complete shit show, it's not filth. Like it's not, an episode of Hoarders.
Cluttered and disorganized.
It's exceedingly cluttered and disorganized. And I was like, I told him, I was like, you have to take pride in yourself, because if you don't take pride in you, nobody else is. Like, I'm going to take pride in you because I'm your mom, but nobody in the outside world is going to take you seriously if you roll into an interview looking like you just rolled out of bed. Like and he's like, well, I want people to see the real me or some bullshit. like what fantasy world are you living in, dude? Like I can wear my pajamas at home, but I'm not going to go to the grocery store in my pajamas, like this is the real me.
Yeah. Well, people don't want to pay the real you,
Exactly. People don't want to pay the real you. I need to use that phrase with him.
Yeah. People want to pay for you to provide a service, not for you to be your authentic self.
Exactly.
If you want to go be your authentic self, go to therapy. That's about the only place that's going to be rewarded full time.
That is very true.
We have to have inhibition. We have to bite our tongues. We have to say things that we don't fully buy into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
So I think I'm going to, I just, because it's my house, I can't stand it. I'm just going to get the garbage bags and just start throwing away shit because I just can't stand it.
Yeah. So that's annoying to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've let it go long enough. I mean, he's been living like this for kind of off and on for 2 years, and then mostly for the past 6 months like this. It's nonsense.
Yeah.
So but I will give it to him. He has finished his 2-year degree. So now he needs to, I guess the applications open up in September for wherever he's going to transfer. So he just has to get accepted.
Yeah, so he's on track-ish.
Yeah, he's on track.
As long as though he doesn't have any degree at 20.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I think too, and did he take the community college route?
Yeah, he did.
So it's a more gradual shift into adulthood starting in community college. That's what I did. I think when you get sent to a 4-year, it's trial by fire, and it's a lot less effective. And there's a lot of people that drop out or like go into drugs or whatever. Can be pretty high risk. But when you start in the community college, you're commuting off usually from your family home. And yeah, I think it puts people in a better position to be successful. But I do think it also, well, I say that, but then I think about like being sent to a dorm room. If I looked at all the dorm rooms for rising freshmen, a lot of them were probably like complete cesspools.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, the additional support's going to help. You're just more aware of it. That's what it is. Like if you were to have been able to send him somewhere, you could just think like, oh, he's passing and he seems to be doing well. But you sneak into his dorm room, probably look 10 times worse.
Yeah.
But you may not ever see it, or he might clean it before you get there. Right. So I think parents can get the illusion that
the child's functioning.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, he definitely needed a longer runway because when he was graduating from high school, he just
runway.
Yeah, he did.
That's funny.
Like he just did
so
not.
Did I.
Yeah, he just didn't have like any concrete notions about what he wanted for himself or where he wanted to go. And like we looked at the Citadel, and he had a very good, very astute takeaway from that experience. He's like, I can either adjust to the cadet life or I can adjust to the academic expectations, but I cannot adjust to both at the same time. And I was like, you know what? That's a really good observation. So, yeah, he went the community college route, and I'm glad he did. He needed that time just to kind of figure out what he wants. Because I feel like so many rising seniors in high school are expected to know to which college program they want to apply. And so you're just expected to apply to that college at the university. And, I'm sure you can transfer once you get there, but it's just it's too difficult to know, I think, up front, like when you're 16, 17, what you want to study.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, he'll probably be all right. Look at me. I mean, look what I was doing in my teenage years. Be fine.
Well, he's got to figure it out because I'm going to be moving back to Texas, so not anytime soon, but one day.
See, so you're exploring the idea of him being a pharmacy tech. I was breaking into pharmacies. So he'll probably be fine. Different world.
That's funny. I mean, he is a rule follower. It's so funny because he has this girlfriend and she's really wonderful, but she's very high functioning. And I was like, I really like your girlfriend, but as long as you remain her Eliza Doolittle and she doesn't become your Eliza Doolittle, it's like, you can be the project, but I don't want you getting a girlfriend who's the project, who's the fixer-upper.
Right.
He didn't like that, but I was like, you know what? That's okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of something that I'm cranky about outside of what I already ranted about before our episode started. What am I cranky about? Okay, yeah, I could say this. So this is like maybe philosophically on a broader experience as a therapist. And I've read about this in books where I can do reflections of what someone's sharing or feeling or thinking. And they disagree and then restate it slightly different, but are saying the same thing. You and I have talked about this before, where they like refuse to agree with a reflection. I'm pretty good at reflecting. Like maybe like the more complex stuff, I'm talking about a paraphrase, right? Like just reiterating what the person just said. And they'll be like, yeah, kind of, but it's more like this. Or I wouldn't agree with it like that. And then by the end, they're telling me the same thing that I said. And it's like over and over again. It's not just once or twice.
My ex-husband used to do that. Yeah.
It's a power assertion.
It's power. And I think also it's like kicking the accountability can down the road. Like they don't have to take accountability for what they're hearing back, right? They don't like what they're hearing you say back, so they won't take accountability for it. So then if I just repackage it slightly, it won't be the same thing.
It's almost, the repackaging, they douse some defense into the packaging.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still there, but there's like this added layer of ego defense. And
I remember like, I'm making this personal, but like my ex-husband's ego defense was like, well, you just don't understand me. And there was like something about not being understood that gave him power and justification for whatever behavior he wanted to do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like a rebellion.
It was like a rebellion.
Like a teenage self rebellion.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You hit the nail on the head. It was like being married to like a middle schooler.
Yeah.
It was gross after a while.
Yeah. You're like, this is kind of pedophilic. I need to get out of here.
Yeah. I was like,
it's like I'm mommy to too many people.
I need a cut bait here.
Yeah, but I it's kind of annoying. I don't get like frustrated, but when that happens, 20 times in a session, you're like, all right, dude, like come on, we don't have to slow this down this much. Like, let's get out of the way a little. But I'm playing dumb right now.
Tell me about being right. Like, tell me about being right. Like, what would you lose if you lost being right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I it was only, I think we have to gauge where we are in the process. And I like to play dumb for a bit just to build a rapport. Because, sometimes I'm wrong if I come out too quickly. So I kind of have to see where the dust settles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think exploring what it's like to be right and what it's like to be wrong is probably important for those types of clients.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to entertain that in such a way, because I would suspect a lot of people's reactions to that kind of client are going to be avoidance. Like they don't want to be around this person. They think that the person's arrogant or doesn't listen to anything that they're saying. They just kind of like have their own words and that's all that matters. Maybe domineering, intellectually domineering. So trying to find ways to like not respond that way, but a different way to where the light can be shown upon that behavior and how it doesn't serve them in a lot of ways. Because those people are also going to report feeling lonely.
Yeah,
often.
They might be seeking validation.
I think for sure.
So, I mean, I know there is therapeutic value in validating clients.
Yeah.
Especially in the initial phases of therapy to build rapport. That was another training I took a few months ago. It was a section of the training about the value in emotionally validating people's stories or their perspective or whatnot.
Oh, for sure.
But I think you can do two things at the same time, though. You can validate the underlying feelings as well as challenge the premise upon which they base that perception.
Yeah, that's the honey spot because it's disarming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because our defenses come up so that we don't experience the challenge. So if we can use empathy to disarm and then challenge in a way that's not going to then ramp back up that wall, there's room for like that deeper introspection.
Yeah, I use this phrase all the time. I'm like, we're just playing with ideas here. Like, ideas are like, it's like moving water. We can just kind of watch them go by. We don't have to marry any of them.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I would say that's probably something that is slightly irritating.
Well, what are you reading right now? Anything therapy-wise? Anything?
Oh, no, I just finished Lonesome Dove.
Oh, really? That's a
Yeah.
classic. I've not read that book, but I would love to.
It's maybe about 900 pages, and the last 40 pages took me months because I just kept falling asleep. It's only I read right before I go to sleep. So, yeah,
You'll have to read Empire of the Summer Moon.
Is that another Western?
It is a Western, but it's not. It's biographical. The last half is biographical of Quanah Parker, but it's a history book about the rise and fall of the Comanche Nation. It's so fascinating.
I think I've read some of that. It's pretty dense.
I never found it dense, so I don't know. Like, I was so zoned in. I read it. I found it very fluid.
Well, so my assessment of writing is pretty skewed currently because I only read right before I fall asleep.
Oh, okay.
So I think things probably seem denser to me, but it's because I'm falling asleep. So I don't remember. Maybe I should try some of these books out in sunlight.
In the sunlight, yeah. Empire of the Summer Moon is one of my most favorite books, like top 3 of all time.
I think I've read half of that or so, actually.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
I loved it. I thought it was so incredibly well written and informative.
Yeah, they got fucked over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But also the ruthlessness between tribes and like the misperceptions that we have about like chiefs and stuff.
Oh, as Anglos? Yeah, well, definitely.
Yeah, there's not chiefs, really.
No. That was another fascinating aspect of this book, was just about how like chiefs were elected, but elected for at least in the Comanche Nation, largely for time periods and or for circumstances, like for war or for peace negotiations or something like that. So, and
then the Anglos, I thought it was pretty funny. I think this is the same book where it would talk about just the arrogance culturally about being like a pioneer coming to a new place. They would literally be so ignorant that they would go off and settle a little place somewhere and just be slaughtered. Like they just thought, oh, this is mine because, you know, Jesus sent me here or whatever, like weird ideological framework they had to where they literally thought they could go wherever, do whatever they wanted because of their herd.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because we still do that. Not in that exact way, but we just kind of walk in and we're like, this is mine.
Like kind of cultural imperialism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's ingrained in our DNA.
Yeah. I like that map, and that there's a book in that book, Empire of the Summer Moon. There's a map that shows like the Western migration across Texas and Oklahoma of the Anglo settlements. Mm-hmm. And I found that to be very interesting. Yeah. I mean, that was pretty common though, to be slaughtered.
Oh yeah. Did you see, it's on Netflix, American Primeval?
No. Was this about a serial killer?
No, it's about like whites settling in the, I guess, what time frame would that be? 1800s? Or no, not 1800s, probably 1600s, 1700s.
Settling where?
Like Midwest.
Oh, it could have been the 1700s.
Yeah.
Like like the Western expansion. So like people leaving New York and coming into like Ohio.
Yeah, and then the Mormons going out, trying to get out to Utah.
Oh, wow.
And it exposes the Mormons for a lot of what they were doing. Like they would slaughter hundreds of people.
Oh, Native Americans?
No, just also whites. Like they were in the wrong places.
Really?
Like everyone was slaughtering everyone.
Yeah, I don't think people realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. You never really think of Mormons as being warriors or conquerors.
Yeah, but they'd be like, this is our land. And if you didn't leave, they'd kill all of you. Men, women, children.
Interesting.
And they try to blame it on the Native Americans.
I didn't know that. I gotta watch that.
Yeah, it's really well done. It reminds me of Revenant, the Revenant kind of, like the lighting with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, I have not seen that movie either.
But they only used natural light, which doesn't seem like it would make a big difference. But
is it like a historical fiction reenactment, or is it like a narrator who's like showing pictures from the past?
No, it's fiction. It's based. The director was very obsessed with being historically accurate, but it's not done by like an historian.
Now, I will admit, my knowledge of like Mormon history is not good.
All I know is the magical underwear. That's about it. And that they're all out in Utah and they have lots of kids. And
Arizona too. Like my first internship was at like an outpost, a behavioral health outpost. And that sounds like such a fucked up thing to say, but it really was. It was like in the middle of nowhere.
Was it a concentration camp?
It was an outpost. I swear to Jesus, it was an outpost. I was in the middle of farm country. And then all of a sudden there was a modern 1-story office building. And that's what my office was. The company built that office building literally in a cornfield, just off the highway. And the majority of our clients were Mormon, but the poverty was staggering. But yeah, so I learned a lot about Mormon culture, in the here and now, presently, but I don't know much about Mormon history.
Yeah, I mean, unsurprisingly, it's just a lot of violence and manipulation. Well, but any big group that has stayed around has done that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like a kill or be killed era of time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that would make sense that they engaged in that too. Although I'm sure that's not something they advertise.
It's not some Christianity advertises either.
No, they don't. I mean, like the Crusades and whatnot, we don't advertise that either. Mm-hmm. Or even, with the colonization of Mexico and South Texas, or, even up into Colorado with the Spanish, a lot of those Native Americans were not.
What's also not shared often is what happened in Canada.
Oh, with like forcing, what do you mean? Like which
like all the natives there. Like, I guess maybe it's because we're in the United States. We think about Native Americans being in the United States. Mm-hmm. But like that spanned the whole continent.
Yeah.
And I don't know much about Canada and what is going on with the Native American populations there and how much rights they have to land. I mean, I guess from the outside in, probably more. I mean, they seem to have a hell of a lot more land in general, but I don't know anything about it. It was more colonized by the French.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as the Anglos were pushing westward, a lot of Native American tribes went into Mexico too. And right. I think that's something people don't really understand. And even to this day in Arizona, a lot of tribes in Arizona have relatives and tribal lands in Mexico too. So they can travel back and forth freely.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I just think our history books are definitely lacking.
Whitewashed. That was the interesting part about college was that was when I realized most of what I had learned about history was very whitewashed and immensely biased. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so you have to think that like most Americans don't go to college, right? So they're not even exposed to any of that. So what does that do to like just us on a collective understanding of history and consequences?
Well, they didn't have a chance to be exposed. Voters, for sure.
Yeah, like they didn't have a chance to be exposed to something new and like determine what they'd like to take from it.
Which history class did you take in college that you found that stuck out to you?
I took a couple. I did have to take an elective last minute. So I picked a women's studies genocide class.
Oh,
And
God.
it was 7 a.m.
Oh, my Jesus.
That was definitely the most profound history class. I think I've talked about her on here, but the professor was very eccentric. She seemed to dress in like a all black kind of suggestive of dominatrix in her other life, like docks, fishnets, red lipstick,
Oh, kind of like a 80s punk rock thing?
kind of. She did something very weird one morning, and like she got activated somehow and kind of alluded in front of everyone that, not even kind of alluded. She vaguely shared about her sexual assault experience from a coworker when she was in her 20s.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this is fucking weird. Like, why are you telling us this?
Oh, wow.
But I mean, that like sexual trauma and rape was a huge part of genocide.
Mm-hmm.
And learning about that. I mean, there was some book I had to read. It was like only 100, 150 pages, but it was just personal accounts of the Rwandan genocide
Oh, wow.
over and over
that's
again. So
horrible.
like every 2 pages, it would be a new account.
Mhm.
I'm like, why the fuck? Like, this is too, I need to read some of this, but I don't need to read every single page of this shit.
No.
Like,
At a certain point that there's like the saturation point, like there just isn't any value.
yeah, this is just unnecessary vicarious trauma.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
it becomes voyeuristic and it's like, what the fuck is the point of this? Yeah.
Yeah, but the brutality of that was probably the most profound thing that I had learned for sure.
Mm.
And just we have those cultural biases about the Holocaust because that was a war that we were in, and that's a war that we won.
Mm-hmm.
There's like the Armenian genocide, there's some Vietnamese genocide, or what was it? Not Vietnamese, right by there, Cambodia. Yeah. There's a lot of other the Rwandan I mentioned, but I kind of learned that there's pretty much a genocide happening at all times somewhere, which is kind of wild to think about.
And it is horrifying too. Yeah.
Like famines and stuff, like all that stuff, like systemic organized famines. Some of that stuff's happening pretty much at all times, which is pretty gross.
Mm-hmm. How do we even get on this topic?
Oh, books. And you were asking me what
yeah.
It's a topic I shouldn't talk about though, because I don't know much about it. I just took a class. I do often reflect on that though when I have very localized living experience, and then to think right now there's obviously there's bad things happening, but I mean in terms of like on a global huge scale, there's bad, like really atrocious things happening pretty much at all times somewhere, because the world's so big and there's so many different power players.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to not let that jade me, but to be more intentional with my own gratitude.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty fucking lucky.
Yeah. Yeah, we both are.
Like, we both are. Like I've had my own obvious traumas and stuff to look at and work through, but I've also had the resources to do it. Or even the wondering that maybe it could be different. Right? Most people don't have that. It's just survival.
Right.
Their entire lives.
Yeah.
Even in this country.
I was talking about that with a girlfriend of mine because she doesn't have any kids, but she was helping a friend of her. She was asked to do a favor for a friend's daughter to interview the friend's daughter for sorority, because the friend's daughter is going to go to the University of Texas, where Chantel and I went. And she was telling me about all of the accomplishments this little girl has done in high school. And one of the big accomplishments she did is that she went somewhere in Europe and presented research, psychological research that she did about this volunteer program she participates in for children whose parents have died of cancer. And I was just like reading paragraph after paragraph of this child's accomplishments. And my only comment to Chantel was, wow, the privilege one has when one is not in survival mode. And I was thinking about that. It's exactly right. Like, to not be in survival mode is a privilege unto itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we can subconsciously be misunderstanding of others that are in those spaces, because I'm not often living in that space. When I am, it's my amygdala, and it's often not accurate. Mm-hmm. Right. There's plenty of people where it's accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've been in survival mode before too, and it's horrible. It's exceedingly horrible.
But just imagine like the survival modes that you and I have been accustomed to, but then also not having a home.
Oh, yeah. Then like the added assault of not having a home or not having consistent access to food. Yeah. Oh,
like the basics plus the stuff that you and I have experienced. It's like, I can't even fathom that. Like, I probably just get arrested, like that's probably what happens. However, rage or thievery or not understanding what's right or wrong because I'm so fucking crazy because I've been living like an animal.
Yeah.
Just probably end up in jail.
I saw it every day when I worked at the jail. I mean, we are all one emotional outburst away from becoming an inmate.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't get that.
People do not understand that.
Until they're in jail. And then most don't understand that, but some might.
Yeah.
What do you got going on the rest of the day?
I have to do grocery shopping. So that's another thing that, I have to do weekly is create meal plans for the family. Like, oh my God, the labor of that is...
It's hard enough for just me.
Exactly. Yeah. It's hard enough for just one person. I love raising my children, but I think that is one thing I'm looking forward to in retirement is just having to like go back to just worrying about me.
Not a chef and a taxi driver.
Exactly. Mike and I went to Sedona a few weeks ago and it was glorious.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Cool. I had this opportunity to just like experience life as a retiree for 3 days and only worry about myself. And I loved it.
Good.
Yeah.